This is a Frank podcast.
Party. Science. Party. Science. Party. Science, everybody, let's hit it. All right, welcome to the Party Science Podcast, the podcast where we break down the science of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm Dr. Joel Rindelab, an actual PhD researcher looking at science.
And I am Party because I may appear to look as one woman, but I am in fact 8 to 12 people jammed inside of a kitchen at 3 a.m. Courtney Dawson.
Courtney Dawson.
Hey, man.
Hey.
How's it been since the last time I saw you one day ago?
It was pretty good.
Pretty science-packed? You've been doing science things?
I work at a place that does science, specifically the teaching and the learning and the researching of such things.
Well, I'm very glad you've been doing your job.
So I have actually been doing my job, which is good for everyone, I think.
Yes, for the students and for so you don't get fired. That's always good.
It would be, yes. Not getting fired is basically everyone's life goal.
Well, yeah, it's my goal too, and you can't get fired if you don't have a job. Hey.
Hey.
I'm winning.
Have you ever rage quit?
Have I ever rage quit?
Actually, I think that's probably people's goal in life. Just to like have one time where you can be like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
I'm out.
I don't think I have, but in my heart, I feel like that's definitely something that I would do. I've rage quit, not necessarily jobs, but relationships, friendships, all that. Yeah. That is definitely my style.
Well, you've got some good insight here for our podcast when it comes to some of our more sexual themes then. And PSA, there are some naughty language and themes associated with this podcast.
And with essentially, yeah, just the whole podcast as a whole, not necessarily just this episode.
No, this episode though, before we get into it, is going to be about dicks. A lot of dick talk today.
Crazy. I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm a virgin.
That's too bad. I was hoping you'd be our resident expert on the male genitalia.
Look, I do know my way around a penis, some might say, despite what everyone thinks of me. I am, in fact, straight. So I have seen a penis or two, and yeah, I do quite enjoy it. Usually not, I do usually quite enjoy talking about it, is what I was supposed to say.
Right.
And usually it's in the privacy of my own home with my friends, cackling over a cup of tea or a wine. So this is a new experience talking about it on the bloody podcast.
Well, we don't have any wine for you, but we do have a brand new poster behind you.
Wow. Is this one?
Yes, in the studio we have the element carbon on the wall. And I gotta say, it looks pretty sexy.
Why carbon?
Why carbon?
Oh my God.
Why carbon?
Why did I ask?
Why carbon? It's only the most important element in the history of life.
Is it? Okay. What's carbon and dioxide? Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide. That's CO2, 2 oxygens, 1 carbon, 2 double bonds. But carbon is in you right now.
Carbon is in me.
You are carbon, actually.
We really are to making dick talk, even out of carbon.
That's cabron.
It's just like,
All right. Okay. But that's actually true. When you do have intercourse, someone is giving you the carbon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What? Is it carbon and cum?
Yeah.
Cool. I wouldn't know anything about that because I always use protection. Anyway, so carbon.
Yes.
And is this a mainstay of this podcast, this poster?
Well, I mean, carbon is the backbone of life. Carbon-based life, I'm sure you've heard.
Okay, so you're a massive carbon fan. You know, some people might have posters of the Backstreet Boys in their room. Joe's got a bloody big carbon.
Yeah, well, do you know much about carbon?
No, I know nothing about carbon. Look, bro, I loved science when I was at school. I was like, I'm going to be a scientist. I loved biology, and then I took it as an option, and I just deeply failed. So, and I know chemistry is not biology, but yeah, I mean, chemistry just goes without saying. It was not good for me.
So carbon, we are a carbon-based life form, and it's basically the backbone of like all the proteins, of like DNA, of all the lipids, and basically all the functional molecules in your body and cells. And what makes you is carbon, or at least the backbone for it. And the reason why carbon is so prevalent in life as we know it is because it gets around, okay?
Okay.
Carbon is really good with bonding or hooking up with other elements. It's not very particular. It's kind of slutty. All right? Okay.
Carbon
is very slutty.
Molecule.
What
is it?
It's an element.
Slutty element.
It's a really slutty element. And it can hook up with like 4 other elements at the same time.
Okay, I love her.
So it's got a 4-on-1 type of interaction going.
Okay, she's orgying around with all the other elements.
Yes.
What you're saying to me.
And that's
now I get chemistry. Yeah, and I should have been a chemist.
And that's what causes life, right?
Orgies. Actually, that's the meaning of life.
So there we go.
Okay.
So that's why we have carbon on the wall of our studio.
Okay. Does carbon pertain to anything that we're going to talk about today, or you just wanted to have a little talk about carbon?
Well, it pertains to literally every single episode.
No carbon, no life.
That's right.
No life, no podcast.
No podcast, no talking about dicks.
Or carbon. You know, it's a real circle of life moment.
Well, dicks are made out of carbon.
I'm sure they are. Okay.
All right. So our topic today is about, it's a very phallic episode where we're going to be talking about showers versus growers and a scientific study that tried to quantify the difference between the two. So Courtney, resident expert in the penile.
Yes.
Showers versus growers. Is it real?
I had only come into contact with a shower grower just recently. And prior to this, I was like, I mean, yeah, surely it must be real because something doesn't become ubiquitous in a culture, you know, like a saying like that without having some sort of basis in truth, surely. So when it did happen, I was like, holy shit, this shit is real.
So you came across what we would call a grower.
Yes, because we hooked up and then went back to the place and then I saw his dick and I was like, oh no. Okay, that's all right. You know, you can't want them all. Because I usually do have like quite a good like dick radar. So I was like, I've made a mistake. But no, my radar did not let me down. That shit grew and it was incredible. And so it's really like a double whammy, you know? It's like a nice surprise.
I want to go back to this dick radar. Can you talk me through how a dick radar works? I
just have a really good sense of if someone has a big dick or not. And it works every time. The only time I've ever slept with someone that has been disappointing, and like, don't get me wrong, like size is not everything. It doesn't really matter. To a certain degree. You just got to make up for it in other ways. It's no big deal. But disappointing in terms of the actual sexual intercourse as well as the penile size. That it was a real like end of the night like, oh, like I've got nothing else to do. I went out on a date with this guy and he was like, oh, at the end of it we were sort of like, oh, we're sort of after different things, whatever. But then I had 6 wines and then I was like, no, let's just go back to my house anyway. Did not trust my radar and it was the worst sex that I've ever had in my life. So it's a real thing.
Well, did the 6 wines have anything to do with it?
No, because we had sex again in the morning and it was as it was yuck.
Well,
I hate thinking about that.
Well, that's gathering data though, you know.
Exactly. Science. I am a scientist.
Yes. It's good to gather all the data you can. So
I've actually had enough data. I haven't had any data in the past year, so you know. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you for walking us through your extremely scientific radar approach to judging showers versus growers.
Yeah, if anyone wants me to bring me along to a date and I can use my radar to be like, stay away, girl, stay away.
I would just like to point out there have been some surveys about female satisfaction of their partner's penis in heterosexual relationships. And about 84% of females that responded to the survey said they were satisfied with the size of their partner's penis.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's guys that are like all up in their brain about how big their dick is. Honestly, it doesn't really fucking matter. It really just matters how you use it. And if someone likes you, because if your partner likes you and you're a nice person and you're good to them, well, anything is possible.
Right. We should reiterate having someone like you is important, very important before engaging in intercourse.
Yes, and especially full-term relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it tends to help. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this study.
There's going to be a lot of weird in these dick episodes.
Yeah, this study was done by, nerds, of course, but doctors.
Doctor nerds.
Doctor nerds. So a urologist, so someone who has access to a lot of dicks on a regular basis. Dr. Manuel Alonso Isa from the HM Porto del Sur in Madrid.
Okay. All of these universities have such fun names.
So this guy, all right, University Hospital, I guess.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, University Hospital.
Okay, very good.
Right.
Yeah, but it's in Spanish. Makes it way cooler.
It is. Well, it is cool. Being in science is cool, no matter what your field is. But this field is urology, and so we have a lot to talk about when it comes to penis size. So he had access to a bunch of penises, and he wanted to talk about this shower versus grower concept, and he found that yes, some people are showers, some people are growers, but but you can be neither of those things as well.
How to be neither? Shower? Oh, what? Just like invisible, invisible dick.
So what he found is that people on the more extremes, these are of how, if we want to think about penis size and then how big it gets when it's erect, from flaccid to erect, if it grows a lot,
yes,
you would be a grower.
Yes.
If it grows very little, you're a shower.
And then what is neither?
And then neither just means it grows a normal amount.
Who's dictating normal?
Right. So that's what he was trying to quantify in this study. What is a normal amount of growth from a flaccid to an erect penis?
Because I would think that if it's neither, then it's a shrinker. And that's not
a
fun.
Shrinker.
It's scared. A lady. Or a man. Who knows?
Or a man. Yes. There's actually not that many studies about penis size and satisfaction in male-male relationships.
No, nothing.
There's very little, so not enough for us to really draw any conclusions. But they have looked into, so sidebar, men that would have sex with men and how penis size kind of integrates into their sexual activity. So here's again, this is not the study that we're looking at showers and growers, but they again did a survey where they asked men who had sex with men, and they found that men with above average penis sizes were more likely to report sexual transmitted infections like HPV or HSV.
This is just for men in same-sex relationships.
Men who have sex with men who have above average penis sizes, or more anal or genital warts, more genital herpes, higher incidence of gonorrhea, chlamydia, urinary tract infection compared to men with below average penis sizes.
Are they just fucking more? Did they draw any conclusions from that?
They could not draw any conclusions from this, from their data set. But one thing they did find from this survey is that men with below average penis sizes were more likely to identify as bottoms or anal receptive versus men who had above average penis sizes were more likely to identify as tops or anal insertive.
I mean, that does make sense. But like the scientists, as a straight woman, I will not be drawing any conclusions from that. I'll just leave that up to the listeners, to the homosexual listeners. They can draw their own conclusions and make their hypotheses.
So
that's interesting data.
That is...
Thank you, science.
That is the data we have. So just a shout out to men that have sex with men. We did think about you in this podcast, but
But now your time's over, so move on. Just kidding. I think we are probably going to be talking, when it comes to the sex stuff, talking about quite a bit of heteronormative stuff because you and I are both heteronormative. And when we do talk about gay stuff, I expect we will have a gay guest come on and talk about that.
I suspect that they would have a little bit more insight and experience than perhaps we do. But you did say heteronormative.
Yes. Is that the wrong word?
I would say more heterosexual. Heteronormative is kind of the construct.
The behaviors.
The behavior where you have the male that's like supposed to be protective and in charge, provide for his family, where the woman stays at home and does the cooking, cleaning. So that's, well, neither of us are in a relationship, so I guess it doesn't really apply to us.
And who knows why? All we talk about is sex and fucking dicks.
I'm sure that has nothing to do with it.
Yes. Okay. So, thank you for the
intro.
For the intro.
So the intro, we're talking Spanish dicks here with our main man, Dr. Manuel Alonso Isa, and he decided that, we can actually quantify based on how much you grow if you are a quote shower or grower.
Okay. I'm excited to hear, what... Yeah. And did he work this out... I might be skipping ahead. Did he work this out by, like, averages? Like, getting all the data and being like, okay, this is in the middle, so this is normal.
Yeah, so if we can show a figure of what the distribution might look like.
Okay.
So this distribution, this is what's called a normal distribution. So on the y-axis, you might have you'll have, like, probability of being either a shower or a grower. And then for this particular x-axis will be how much your penis size increases. So the grower, what they found was like about roughly 25% of their surveyed population were growers, about 25 were showers, and then 50% was the rest of people were just kind of the average amount.
That's real even.
It is.
Is that because of maths or because it's even?
So this is...
I don't know what do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so this is an ideal distribution and why it's so even.
Yeah.
They didn't have, I guess, a large enough data set to... So this is not their data I'm showing. This is like an example. But what they found was actually in line with what you would expect from the perfect scenario of a normal distribution.
Yeah. This it looks fake.
It looks fake because, it is to some degree because this is an ideal scenario.
This is an ideal scenario. This is not real data.
This is not real data.
Okay, I got you.
But what they found was in line with what you would expect from a normal distribution.
Buzzy.
Okay.
I need to know what those measurements are. I need to know how many centimeters millimeters or whatever, how much your penis size.
Yeah. If we had their real data, we could actually...
God, it's fake data!
Yeah.
Okay, I keep...
This is just an example of what a normal distribution looks like. So if you measured... I
don't think you started this podcast thinking you're going to have to teach me about maths that I learned in third form.
If you went out and just measured penis sizes of everyone you met...
Yes.
Eventually, what would happen it would turn into a distribution like this, theoretically, where if you measured enough penis sizes, and if your x-axis here was penis size, right?
Yeah.
You would have a distribution like that. You would have an average where most of people are kind of the same, but then you have some outliers on either side.
Okay, cool. So this is what they reckon. And so, cool. So they've got that to... okay, wait, let my brain work. So this is so they can figure out what the normal middle ground is.
So, yeah, they were trying to understand, first, shower versus grower, is that a real thing? And if so, can we quantify that? Can we say how much you have to grow to be considered a grower or how much little you grow to be what's called a shower?
Okay.
And so you might be asking, why do we care?
Because it's cracker. Okay. No, sorry. Why do we?
I don't think that was his complete motivation as a urologist. But he is quoted as saying, "It is important to be able to predict if a patient is a grower or shower, as when we, the doctors, see them, they're usually in a flaccid state. If they grow a lot when they get an erection, it might mean they need a different surgical approach compared to someone who doesn't grow much."
Okay. So does that mean, the study that you're talking about, the showers versus growers, they just happen to have the data. They didn't specifically run this study to test showers and growers.
They did. They ran the study to test showers and growers.
Oh, but if they just need to know it for surgery purposes, then...
Well, they wanted to know if they could predict if someone was a shower or grower as well.
Okay.
Because, they're doing a lot of, like, penile surgery, so they want to know how the penis might change upon erection. So that's very pertinent to their work. And so one thing that this author has also mentioned is that it's important to know and explain to patients what a normal size penis is, one that's small but functional versus a non-functional one, in order to adapt treatment and adjust expectations before performing their surgery. So it sounds like a lot of the surgery he does, it might be like cosmetic. Some people who want a penile implant because they feel self-conscious about the size of their penis. But the idea is to try to normalize this idea that, even though you think your penis might be small, it might actually functionally be fine. Normal. So another thing that the study author mentions is that, like, intrusive thoughts about, like, penis size can have a big impact on a men's mental health. And so normalizing diversity in size, as well as the many ways to have sex and be sexual with one another, is important.
Well, I completely agree with that. And that's why, body positivity, which is, completely played out and has lots of negative connotations, is not just for women, it's for men as well. So if we just accept your body how it is, then you can save yourself a lot of money getting a fucking dick implant. I mean, do what you want. I don't care what people do with their bodies, but, like, it's more fun and cheaper to just love yourself.
84% of women would agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to the ladies.
Methodology.
Okay, methodologies.
Methodology.
How did they measure these dicks?
That is a great question. So, this is a urologist we're talking here. He's got access to the dicks. Mm-hmm. And so what he did is he measured them when they were flaccid, and then measured them when they were erect, and basically just looked at the difference between the two. And I would like to point out that this study was presented at a conference.
Okay.
So it hasn't been peer-reviewed.
I see.
So...
which we know is very important.
Very important. Can you remind our viewers,
peer reviewing
listeners?
Is when a scientist does a study and then everyone else in the community rips it to shreds and says it's shit and then does it again. And that's peer reviewed. So this guy's just out here measuring dicks with no criticism. That's what you're telling me.
Basically.
Okay, awesome. So he presented it. He's presented it as this is the thing I don't get about studies. Can you just, like, do a study to be like a study? Can you just be like, here you go, world, at a conference or in a journal, or publish it yourself? What makes it like a bona fide, excuse the pun, study?
Well, it has to be peer reviewed in a scientifically credible journal. Okay. So that would be the minimum basis for us. But we're going a little bit outside of that just because it's still interesting.
It's
an interesting topic.
Yeah, and it's still done by Dr. Scientist nerds.
And they presented this at a conference at the European Association of Urology.
Okay.
So it was scientists doing science stuff. and they wanted to tell people about it. So that's what you do with conferences. Like, what are the latest things you're working on? Usually you present your work at a conference, and then later it becomes this peer-reviewed publication.
Okay, gotcha.
So it could be that they just haven't published it yet.
Okay.
And as far as, I guess, if you want to think of pyramid of credibility, like near the top would be a peer-reviewed journal publication. And then under that would be like a PhD thesis or something, and then like a conference proceeding.
Okay. Conference is just like, hey, look at this cool shit that I'm finding out.
Yeah.
Like a little preview.
It's like a preview.
Yeah. No one's going to go and make like definitive choices from a conference provided study.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so then under that we have like expert opinions would be next down the list, which are useful, but they're not peer reviewed, so to speak, like a publication. And then the further down you go, you
it's
get
like
things
Facebook
like
posts,
then,
YouTube documentaries,
and then podcasts.
Yeah. Awesome.
And here we are.
Okay, cool. Okay, so they do it at the conference. They say the thing at the conference. How did they? Oh, what were we talking about?
Methodology. So it was pretty straightforward, where you just get a bunch of dicks and measure them. So the study, they looked at 225 penises.
It doesn't seem like that much, is it?
Well, I mean, it's more than I've probably investigated.
Yes, and it is. Don't fucking look at me like that. It's more than I've investigated as well. Thank you very much. Keep your little eyeballs to yourself, Joel.
I was asking 0 questions there.
No, but you go like this. So they've done this conference study. If it was going to be peer reviewed, would they do a bigger sample size?
Well, that would be up to the peer review.
How do you dictate how big the sample size should be?
That's a really good question.
Because, sometimes things will be like, oh, I don't know. If a motherfucker interviews 10 people, it's like, okay, come on, that's not real. But then if it's like 200, and then sometimes it's 600 and 1,000, like, is it just like more information, the better?
More information is always better. And you can do statistical tests to kind of gauge how many people you think you need to justify this outcome. So,
okay.
So there is a way to try to predict what number of participants you need. 225, that would be something that someone who looked at it, a peer review, someone that was criticizing it, as we talked about, would tell them, hey, maybe this isn't good enough. You need to go back and look at some more dicks. Or they could say that's, that
okay,
you did enough with your dick work.
They do a little statistical calculation about da, and then they'd be like, yes or no, that is enough.
So that would be one part that someone that would review the study would look at. They would also look at some of their conclusions, make sure that they had the proper evidence for them, among other things with their methodology. And some of the limitations that we like to talk about as well would also be considered.
Okay, Katie Pie. So 200 people measured dick size.
Measured the dick size, flaccid and erect.
Okay. And what did they find?
So they found that if you had a penis that went from flaccid to hard, if it grew in size by more than 56%, then you would be considered a grower.
That feels like a lot. 56%?
56%. So we can, for those of you watching, we can actually show you what that difference is.
With a paper. For anyone who's not watching, there's no penises involved in this demonstration. Okay.
So the grower means that your penis increased by more than 56%, whereas a shower, it increased by less than 31%.
Okay.
So one thing that they, I guess, weren't necessarily outlined in, I guess, a lot of the press releases about this particular study is how exactly that number was calculated. But they did report the average size of the penises that they were looking at. So this is where they kind of pooled their data together. And so the shower penises, so the ones that did not increase that much. When erect had an average of 11.3 centimeters, or 4.4 inches when flaccid, versus the growers, so the ones that had the small penises that got bigger, had a flaccid size of 8.8 centimeters or 3.5 inches.
Okay, so this is a shower and this is a grower.
When flaccid.
When
yes.
flaccid.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, continue. I'll hold the flaccid ones.
So the shower is the one that you have. I have the grower. The grower it's like about the size of my index finger in length.
I've never thought of my fingers as little penises.
Little penises. Your life has just
cool.
changed.
Okay.
And the grower is definitely bigger than my index finger by...
Isn't that the shower?
This is the grower. This is the shower. Yes, the
Yes.
shower. Sorry. The shower, the one that is already big.
Yes. Okay.
Trying to get a good comparison. What...
Does the girth of this have anything to do with anything?
The girth.
Did they measure girth? Because I tell you what, mate, that's where it really counts, is in the girth. They did no girth measurements.
So there have been studies that have looked at girth as well,
but not
in
this.
satisfaction.
Yeah, but I guess that doesn't really grow that much, the girth, right?
That's that. I mean, that would be some future work for
Exactly.
you, right
I'm
there.
peer reviewing this motherfucker right now. Okay, so flaccid penises.
So we have some flaccid penises in my hand. Some pieces of paper that represent flaccid penises in my hand. And then this is the fully erect.
Of what? Of shower or grower?
For both.
What?
So the idea is that they reach the same size, just one shows it more than the other.
Okay, so if your penis is erect this size and you're a shower, then that's how you'll start. And if you're a grower, that's stuff. But they can still reach the same potential. And isn't that a beautiful little analogy for life? Doesn't matter where you start, you can still reach the same heights of an erect penis.
So just some quantitative numbers for people listening. The average erect penis length in the study was 14.37 centimeters or 5.7 inches, which is kind of consistent with some previous work by like Sanchez and coworkers from 2018 that found that erect penis was 13.08 centimeters. So roughly within the uncertainty of this study, 13.08 plus or minus 2.32. So
I'm not going to lie to you, Bo. You just said all those numbers and that was not getting in my brain. But that's good to know. And I'm glad that someone's doing the calculations.
In that previous Sanchez study, they found that about 10% of the people that they investigated had a self-perception of a small penis.
Growers.
This is outside of showers and growers. This is previous study, Sanchez and coworkers 2018 found that about 10% of people thought that they had a small penis.
Okay. That tracks. I don't know. I feel like men are, way more open about their penis size with other men. Do you know what I mean? Like complaining about it or having a cry about it.
Are they?
I reckon. Well, they're not talking about it to women. Well, this woman.
I don't think they're talking about it to other men either.
I did have one boyfriend who was like a little bit self-conscious about it, and it was fucking annoying. Get over it. Look, we're here. I'm having fun. You're having fun. Shut the fuck up about it. Who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah. So then they're not okay. They're not complaining about it to anyone. They're just complaining about it inside of their brain and getting sad about it.
That sounds like a typical male psyche of the 21st century.
Okay. Well, let's not do that, guys.
Of course, that would be, again, a completely other study to quantify exactly that impact on the mental health of the self-perceived male.
Well, I had a friend who was very confident, and what he would do is when he hooked up with girls, he would tell them straight off the bat, I've got a tiny dick. Because he was like, basically, if they do think it's tiny, then I told them. And if they think it's big, it's a nice surprise. Everybody's happy.
Interesting way to do it.
Yes, he was very confident.
If someone told you that they had a small penis, would you be more inclined or less inclined to continue your...
If we were already on the subject of penises, I would be like, I would probably want to see some data. I'd probably want to see a peer-reviewed study. And if we weren't on the subject of penises, I would probably kick them out of my house. Because you don't just go up to people and say, I've got a small dick. What do you reckon about that?
Just go door to door.
Yeah. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Put it on the internet. Not your penis, just that you're saying that it's small. And then everyone knows.
Then everyone...
Don't put it on you. Okay, no. I need to really be careful what I say. Usually I only talk about sex with my friends, and I'm far more problematic with my friends. Okay, what the hell are we talking about? Small dicks make men sad. Gotcha.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially.
Yes. But yeah, the methodology of this study was more or less pretty straightforward. You just measure a bunch of dicks and then get them hard, measure them again, and look at the change.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good methodology. The only is like, how hard is the penis? Because, sometimes penises can be different levels of erect. And I don't know, if they're measuring it inside of a, clinical sort of setting, that might not be that horny.
So one thing that they did ultrasound the dicks.
Some of the things you're saying looking directly into my eyes. And it just, I can't. Okay, so they ultrasound
compose yourself
the
here,
dicks.
Courtney.
Okay.
The penises were ultrasound, and so they're looking at some of the fibrous tissue in them to see how that changed as well. Mm-hmm. So the fibrous tissue known as the tunica albuginea, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Of course.
So the way that we can think about our tunica albuginea is think of a hot dog, okay?
Okay.
Now, there's two parts to a hot dog. You have like the skin around it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have the meat on the inside.
Yes.
So
it's probably made from 30 different animals. Yes.
So the inside the penis, you basically have like hot dogs. You have like these cavities that fill with blood when it becomes erect. And so the tissue, the tunica albuginea, is like the outside of the hot dog.
But not the skin.
The skin part.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like the tissue that they were measuring with the ultrasound because they wanted to know how much that stretched as well. So the people with hot dog skin became thinner in the growers than the showers.
What about foreskin?
Foreskin was not mentioned in this study.
Interesting, because does that count towards length, especially if it's the tunica margarita?
So you're saying if someone had just really droopy foreskin?
Yeah. Did they measure that?
A larger. They did not specify what part of the penis they measured as well.
Well, I'm going to have to be writing my own study about this.
So that's where ideally we would have a peer-reviewed study where we could read in explicit detail the methodology.
That's crazy they didn't think about that, because foreskins are the first thing I think about.
When you think penis, you think foreskin?
Yeah. I want to know all about the foreskin. Of a man who I'm about to see his penis. If he's got a foreskin or not. I don't know. I'm constantly thinking about foreskins.
Wait, what? How did this not get brought up earlier?
I feel like it's because, I don't know, there's like a lot of cultural stuff around it. Like, do you chop it off? Do you keep it on? I feel like back in high school, like it was like a big shame to have a foreskin. Like everyone would call, your name's Mike, you're called Foreskin Mike for the rest of your life. Am I hallucinating this? Yeah. Well, I did grow up in the early 2000s.
Okay.
I was pretty savage.
I mean, I'm from the U.S. originally, so I think...
Was there much foreskin chat in the States?
There was like one kid that had a foreskin.
Yeah. It feels like it was. I think it's more common now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. Oh, I shouldn't talk about my own child. No, I'll leave that. But yes, I'm just interested in foreskins.
Okay, so we could go down.
So I would have thought about that.
A way too deep dive on the foreskin chat. So let's just stick to erect penis.
Yes. Okay.
And with this study, is they found that hot dog skin stretched more. It was thinner with our growers rather than the showers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is a sciencey study. They also reported that whether you're a shower or grower, was not impacted by age, weight, or some of these other factors that you might think could impact penis function and size.
Okay, so it appears just to be completely genetic. You got it or you don't. You show it or you don't.
It appears to be genetic. There may be some environmental factors as well, but what this study would suggest is that there is a definitive genetic component.
Limitations. Yo! All studies got them. Limitations, no problem.
The limitations of this study, we've kind of talked about a few of them so far. What would you say was the biggest limitation?
Obviously, it didn't measure foreskin. And second of all, what was the other one that we were talking about? What the fuck? So, not the sample size was fine. I don't know. I can't remember the other one that we said.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I'm not going to lie. But I did write down a few.
Okay, please.
So limitations, things like what was the temperature of the room and other external variables.
Yes, well, I was talking about how hard is the hard penis.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Can we quantify like what is like hard throbbing versus, just.
Yeah, where they're just like, slightly aroused.
Yeah, rock hard versus, like cheese hard.
Yeah. Cheese hard? When you were talking about hot dogs, I was going to make a cheese comment, but I was like, actually, that's disgusting. So I'm glad that you did it. Okay, yep. So how hard is hard? Temperature, external factors that may be affecting the hardness of the penis. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
Other external factors, things like, for instance, stage fright. How comfortable would someone be, having their penis measured in a sterile environment? There could be some stress involved with that, which of course could also play a role in the, I guess, hardness or the length of their erect penis.
Yes. Well, I'd also like to hear some studies on like how true all of these are, because sometimes it's like, is that true or is this an excuse? It's cold.
It's cold.
It's cold. Oh, I'm scared of the doctor. Who knows?
Are these some excuses you've encountered in day-to-day life?
Not really. Only in pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you watch so much things that the lines blur between what you've experienced and what you've just seen on TikTok.
And that is why we are here, to help clear the cloud of media perception.
Exactly, especially with dicks.
And so what we can say is that showers versus growers might be a thing.
Learning, it's really cool. Learning, it's really cool.
What did we learn?
All right. A study about penis size. Courtney, what did you learn?
I've learned that many of my observations on penises are backed up by science. A, that showers and growers are a real thing. B, that men get sad about their penis size, often with absolutely no reason. And 3, that love yourself, and then you don't really, like I say, do whatever you want to your own body, but it's honestly probably fine. And actually, if I dare hear a future boyfriend complain about the size of his penis, I'm going to rip out this study. And the tape measure.
And the tape measure.
And say, actually, darling, you're completely normal.
So,
or you're not, and let's go to Peaches and Cream.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. What have you learned?
So what have I learned from this study? I mean, I've learned that people want to quantify the difference from showers and growers. I didn't think about it that it would actually have a purpose from someone like a urologist who does surgery on penises. I thought that it would just kind of be a fun thing to learn. I like to learn. I didn't really foresee the application of this knowledge.
Okay. And I've learned that you love to learn.
Wow.
It's something I never knew about you,
And
Joe.
I learned that you learned that just now, that I love to learn.
What a beautiful full circle moment. Yeah, and and I also learned some random stuff about carbon.
Dude, carbon kicks ass.
Okay, we're not getting onto the carbon thing again, Joel.
No, there's always time for carbon, Courtney.
Save it for the next episode. I save it for the next episode.
I will tell you more about carbon.
Okay, and I will tell all of you more about foreskins. Anytime you want to hear my opinions on foreskins, please let me know.
Guess what's made of carbon? Foreskin.
Foreskins!
There it is.
Boom. Party science.
Party science.